The Raptors take down the Charlotte Hornets. 120-100 is your final. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Jack Armstrong, Leo Rautins, and Paul Jones. Jonesy, I'll start with you. After that first quarter, it just felt like the Raptors really woke up defensively.
Yeah, the first quarter, the start was kind of sluggish. And, there's a concern there initially that I called them the baseball series. When you're playing the same team 2 nights in a row, like the doubleheader in baseball, you win the first one, you got it in your pocket. You say, well, okay, we got at least a split, and you don't get greedy. And I thought the first handful of possessions in the game, they were very lackluster, very kind of lackadaisical turnovers, allowing Charlotte to get going, but they picked it up. And I thought, and I figured this would happen, that Nick would look for an energy burst from the bench. And I thought he got a great night out of Chris Boucher and Will Barton. And that's the Will Barton that I'm used to seeing. That's the guy that made his name around the league as a mini microwave, coming in off the bench and heating things up very quickly. But you're right, Randy. It was kind of a concerning start, the first 4 or 5 minutes, and then they picked it up. They went to the bench, and all in all, though, for the most part, it was a pretty workmanlike effort and a good win.
Jack, let's talk about Will Barton. He was awesome tonight, breakthrough game. I just think he looks so much more comfortable out there, and it really couldn't have come at a better time for the Raptors.
Well, he's only made 5 threes coming into tonight's game as a Raptor, and then he made 6 tonight. So now, I mean, that's a lot to expect a guy to make 6 threes in a game. But what is important is the play-in scenario and obviously the playoffs itself, to have a guy that can come in the game and give you some productivity is huge. And both he and Chris Boucher gave you that tonight. And, obviously Gary Trent Jr. is still out of the lineup. But, and we know the playoffs are all about matchups. But you can't have droughts. You can't have droughts. And this team at times has had that issue with droughts, and they've had that issue with not able to make open threes. And people pack the paint against them and dare them to shoot threes. So now if you have a guy who's on the floor that can shoot those, that really helps.
Leo, Jack mentioned Boucher, who also had a great game off the bench. What stood out to you about his play?
Well, I just like the way his mindset right now. He is really aggressive, right? He's looking to make things happen. I've actually liked him putting the ball on the floor in transition. He's getting out, he's running, and he's making some good decisions and attacking in transition. Also, lately, he's putting the ball on the floor from the wings, from the corners, just driving. And he's, today he had a great move, big first step coming from the wing and got to the bucket. So if he can shoot the three, put the ball on the floor in transition and drive from the wings, that adds a lot. So, what you're hoping is when you're hitting the postseason is guys like Will Barton, guys like Chris Boucher, along with the starters, are at a high level of confidence, right? You're going to need those guys. Somebody's going to have to give you that boost when you're struggling. And I think both Chris Boucher and Barton both have the ability to come in and change a game by knocking down some threes. For Boucher, obviously doing a lot more on the glass and defensively. So that's a good sign for the Raptors. Like I said, I like the way he's playing right now.
Jonesy, this renewed dedication, it feels like, to sharing the ball, is that a key to getting more bench production? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it might be. I mean, and guys, look, if you share it, you're not thirsty. If you give it up, it'll come back to you. The pass is cool. Just like making shots and playing defense, when somebody does it or a couple guys start to do it, it becomes infectious and contagious, and everybody wants to do it. I thought Leo made a good point when, you think about all these guys playing well, and I know the Charlotte Hornets are not in the playoffs and they're not a playoff team, but you can use games like this to get well. And we know, hey, next week, once the playoffs start, your regular season record doesn't matter. It gives you a good seed, but it's not always the best team that wins. It's the team that's playing the best that wins. And like Leo said, you want guys firing in all cylinders. You want them confident. You want everybody playing well. And, to your initial question, Randy, sharing the ball is part of that, showing that trust. believing in that guy beside you, making the extra pass, and knowing that when it's your turn to receive the extra pass, it's going to come.
Mm-hmm. Jack, when I look at the play of OG, obviously he had some beautiful dunks early on, but it also seems like he's just seeing the floor really well. He's letting the game to come to him. He's making shots when he needs to, but also making that pass as well.
No, I think his whole game's just clicking right now. I think he's just in a really good place. Obviously, you know how impactful he is defensively. He can guard all the positions. But I think as a playmaker, as a shooter, as a finisher, as a driver, as an aware teammate, what the other 9 guys are doing on the floor, I think the game's really slowed down to him. But again, you know, I think he's missed a lot of time. And I think when you finally get a chance to play a lot of games, you settle into a good rhythm and a good routine, and your heart start to hit your stride. And I think that's happening for him right now. This is kind of the best stretch of ball I've seen him play.
Mm-hmm. Leo, 90 points in the paint in the last game, 50 tonight. Anything strategy-wise you're seeing that's making them have this much success inside?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's got to do with who you're playing, right? Charlotte's just, they don't have any presence. I mean, that's the reality of it. And, you can't control who you're playing. You got to play. And so if you come down in a game like this and just jack them up for the outside, hey, you had your fair share of threes. That's fine. But you want to take what the defense gives you. And they had plenty of opportunities to go inside the paint. And, whether it was passing it, driving it, posting it, whatever, there were plenty of opportunities. So all they did was take what the defense gave them. That's the way you want to play the game.
Yeah. Jonesy, any other notable performances Raptor-wise stood out to you tonight?
No, I just, look, they had, 7 guys in double figures. And, the record's out there. When they have 6 or more in double figures, they have a terrific record. They win, 65% of the time. So to your point about sharing the ball and everybody playing together, I thought Fred had a big third quarter. It was like he was kind of setting the tone, but not really looking for his stuff. He came out in the third quarter, had a big quarter, but, and I continue to be impressed by the play of Jakob Poeltl. I mean, he had 3 assists on the night, and I would say probably had 4 or 5 more hockey assists where he made the pass that led to the pass that was the assist. And he's going to be huge. If he can stay out of foul trouble, he's going to be a huge plus in the middle for Toronto at both ends of the court.
Yeah,
and I would say to Jones's point, Jakob just adds to the room too. You can even see, like on television tonight, he's smiling with OG Anunoby, and obviously him, Pascal are tight. Fred, there's a respect there. There's a friendship there. There's a camaraderie and a brotherhood that when you add a guy like that to your team, permeates through the room. And to me, I think his impact sometimes might look subtle, but it's not. It's significant.
Mm-hmm. And offensively, Jack, I mean, the numbers are there. When he's on the floor since they've acquired him, their offense is extremely efficient. They're plus 10, I think, in plus minus with him on the floor.
Well, he's so aware out there. I mean, he's obviously a great screener, roller. He can do a lot in tight quarters. He's got good hands. But more importantly, I think you don't have to run in place for him. Mm-hmm. You're asking, why is the ball moving better? I think it's one less guy that is needy and thirsty, in the words of Jonesy, right? And just it's more of a team. And when you have a guy like him, I think he adds to the word chemistry. When you're like, man, that guy's busting his tail. I really like him. He's a good teammate. And he's so selfless. Maybe I need to be a little more selfless. And I think that creates that trigger reaction that good things start happening.
Mm-hmm. My dog just barked, so I think he agrees with you. We'll keep it moving. Leo, do the Raptors look ready for Boston? This is a huge 2-game stretch coming up starting Wednesday night.
I'll let you know tomorrow. I mean, hey, these games are great, and now you're stepping up a notch, right? So hopefully, Jonesy made the point, you got to get confidence. You get confidence in a lot of different places, right? So all you want to do is be confident, feeling good. Sometimes you got to get it against weaker teams. And bottom line is you got an opportunity against Boston. It's always tough to play in Boston. You're going to have to play with great physicality. You're going to have to play with great energy. Fortunately, tonight was a game that, people didn't get exhausted. So it's a good setup to the game. But I'd really love to see, I'd love to see, for example, you see Pascal Siakam in these games. Now, very aggressive, very determined. He just goes at people. I'd like to see him do that at the next level with Boston, just going out and attacking people. And he can kind of set the tone because he's doing it in these games. You got to have it translate to those games. And he's capable of doing that. But I think it'll be interesting to see how they respond to Boston because, you never know. You never know what happens in the playoffs and what happens through the play-in. So this is a game you'd like to try to really get after them.
Yeah, and Jonesy, it could feel like a bit of a culture shock going against, Charlotte these last two nights, and then it's going to feel different, Wednesday night against Boston in Boston.
Yeah, as I said earlier, the Charlotte Hornets are not a playoff team, and you won't see them after next Sunday. But they can help you get confident. But to Leo's point, I want to see them go at Tatum tomorrow, or Jaylen Brown, or Robert Williams III, or whoever's on the floor for Boston, because, hey, let's face it, this could be a potential playoff opponent if you can get to 8 and win one game. So it's like I said, it's so important to be playing well at this time of the year. The other 79 games are behind you. They don't matter right now. Get it together. Be playing well. Be confident going into the postseason, and then you take your chances.
Jack, do you feel good with the Raptors the way they're playing heading into this final little stretch, last 3 games this season?
I feel good about, I like what I'm seeing. I feel good about them since the All-Star break, quite frankly. I mean, they've had a few hiccups, but every team around the league has those. I feel good since they've acquired Jakob Poeltl. I feel good about their team, and I think they're shaping up in the right way. Geez, I mean, if they win 2 more games, they've had a winning season. And I think a few months ago, no one would have thought that. So can they do it? I have no idea. But this is a good test for them. No matter what, it's going to prepare them for the play-in.
All right, guys, great stuff. Going to stop it there. Next game for the Raptors is Wednesday night in Boston. The first of 2 against the Celtics. Tip-off goes at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. After the game, be sure to catch Raptors Tonight on Raptors YouTube channel and NBA TV Canada. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.